Today on the podcast, we'll be revisiting a topic from last year, my 2020 resolutions. Yes, I realized 2020 was a year ago, thank goodness, and we're in 2021, but I believe it's really important to build on progress and goals from the past. So today, we're going to talk about why it's never too late to start past goals and keep them going, and what helped me start and keep momentum this last few months going into the new year. Welcome to the podcast with Kilee Nickels. I made the unlikely transition from stay-at-home mom to CEO of a multi-million-dollar leading fashion brand. At Nickel & Suede, we empower the everyday woman to step into her story more boldly, one life-changing accessory at a time. The goal of this podcast is to inspire you through both my story and the stories of other powerhouse women to take that first step towards living the best version of your life. So grab a notebook, grab a pen, and get ready to get started with Kilee Nickels. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy January. Happy New Year. So good to be back. Really excited to be going into a new year of the podcast and have some fun topics and just ready to dig in on more personal development and more ways that I'm trying to be my best self, and hopefully me and my guests can help inspire you to be your best self as well. So this year, it's a new year, but I said it on social media the other day, like it's a new year, but I feel like this is the same me. There are a lot of awesome things about a new year and a reset and a refresh, but really we walk into the new year and the next day, almost the same as we were the day before. The awesome thing about a new year is we do have this open mindset possibly to new things and new goals. So despite this being a new year, as I sat down to look at resolutions and what am I going to do this year, really what came to mind and to heart was that I needed to do more of what I was doing last year. So if we go back to my 2020 resolution, I really felt this pull to start working on this muscle of discipline. I really wanted to figure out how to incorporate the small, simple, important things into my day-to-day life consistently. I was coming off of about 5 years of building a business that had just grown incredibly quickly, having 2 kids in the process, now having 5 kids, and it felt like everything that was small and important to do daily and in a disciplined way had just been thrown out the window. We just had done everything we could to survive, and as things were calming down a little bit, I kind of looked around and I'm like, wow, we live in too many day-to-day fires. I really want to get things to be more consistent, and I know these small things will be important. That was January, and then COVID hit, and all of these different things happened last year that made it feel really hard to get consistent about anything. I would try exercising a little bit, and just there was no motivation to stay consistent. And as I worked through the year, I was working with a mindset coach, and we were talking about discipline. And part of working with a mindset coach is that you really lean into important habits like a morning ritual and thoughts, your thought pattern, and how are you thinking about things. And I was feeling so frustrated. Why can I not get disciplined? And we talked in a previous podcast about kind of that self-discovery for myself about being on such a pendulum of all or nothing. And so once I realized that, I was able to start kind of, I think, cracking the code a little bit, and found that, okay, all or nothing has been my game for a long time. It's really important to me to either be just go big or go home. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it in an awesome way, or I'm not going to do it at all. And that thought was not serving me anymore. There's good things about it. I still believe in going big. I still believe in making a statement and really trying new things, but the black and white thinking wasn't serving me. So once I got over that, I shouldn't say I got over it. Once I realized I have that, that awareness really helped. And so in October, so that's 10 months into the year, last year, I started doing one really small thing, and I did it every day. I started my 7-minute workouts every day, and I got dressed in my workout clothes all the way down to my gym in the basement to do a 7-minute workout on my phone. like this little app on my phone. And then I would call it good and pat myself on the back and say, you're awesome, you worked out. And I would go about the rest of my day. And that was really how small it started. And I've talked about this app lots of times because I just think that this 7 minutes is such an interesting thing, because I did start feeling like I was gaining a little muscle. That's honestly how out of shape I was. But I also really started to see and believe that I was not really in it for the physical muscles. I was in it for the mental muscle of doing something over and over again. And so I was just really consistent October, November, December with exercising with my little 7-minute app. And some days I would feel like doing a little bit more. Maybe I'd go for a run outside, but that run would be down 2 or 3 blocks and then back. I just kept things so minimal so that it didn't feel overwhelming, and I didn't feel like I didn't want to do it. It felt like, oh, it's so little, it's no problem. I can do that. So what that cool thing was is that led to next something else really small. I started making sure I was washing my face and doing my skincare regimen every night and every morning. I re-upped my subscription to the skincare line that I like, and I started making that something that was really important at the beginning and end of every day. Like, okay, I'm just going to make sure I use it. It takes minutes, less than that, and so I started getting consistent with that. Then I added taking my vitamins, and I take them at the same time that I wash my face at night. So I have this little drawer that has my toothbrush in it and all these things, and it has my vitamins, it has my skincare routine, and has my floss and my toothbrush. And so if you can guess, what I added next was flossing every night. And I know that's probably terrible to admit, except we all know when we go to the dentist, the number one thing they say is, how much have you been flossing? You should floss more. So like I said, these are all incredibly small things. But the fact that I've been able to consistently keep all of them up and building this up for several months now feels amazing. I'm like so proud of myself. And it's the most consistent I've been in any of these areas for years. The most recent thing I've added is starting to pay attention to how much water I drink. And so for some reason, when one of my friends suggested, hey, we're going to be doing this challenge, and part of the challenge is drinking a gallon of water every day, I wasn't interested in the challenge at all. That was too black or white, big picture or big thinking, like way too all in on something. The challenge was just way too much. And it was only for a certain amount of time, and I'm interested in consistency. But I thought, maybe I could probably do that water part of the challenge. And I don't know why a gallon every day didn't seem like a big deal, but it didn't, because I know I can trust myself to add something little every day. I've started to build up that muscle and that trust with myself. So I've started paying attention to how much water I drink. And so I drink like 2 water bottles before work, I drink 3 at work, and then I try to drink 2 at night. And my goal is to make all these things become autopilot and not really be something I have to think about, but they just happen, and they cumulatively will add up to a lot of like health, mental health, all these good things. So I have other things in my wish list of what I would add next, but I'm really trying to just be consistent and be super proud of anything that's consistent. That's what's most important to me. The funny thing is I've been drinking all this water, and at work, there's no bathroom upstairs, so I have to go downstairs every single time. And I told one of my coworkers today, I was like, this is why my toddlers don't want to be potty trained. Like it's so annoying to stop what you're doing and go to the bathroom. And that's what I feel like all day right now. But it's the price I'm paying for trying to be hydrated. So anyways, so what I have learned through this is something I already knew and I talk about, but really how the small things are the big things. Small, consistent things always add up to bigger things. And I know this and I talk about it, but what I have to constantly remind myself of is that it's so easy to skip the small things because they don't seem like a big deal until you actually start doing them. And once you've done them, you feel like, I am the world champion. Like, this is such a big deal that I started washing my face every day. People should know about this. And like, it's the kind of thing that during the day and at night, you're like, I don't need to do that. It's not a big deal. I'll do it tomorrow. And yet if you do it every day consistently, you're like, I wash my face. Like, I am awesome. I'm going to have the best skin forever. And so That's, I think, what our brain does. And the tricky thing that can stop our progress is that small things seem super small and unimportant until you start really doing them. And then you realize how important and how big they are. And it really does have a rippling effect in your confidence and in the rest of your life. They're so easy to skip, but once you start doing them, you see really the big benefit of why you shouldn't be skipping them. So what made the difference for me? I would say starting really small. I mean, it was the tiniest thing, but I chose to celebrate it and be really proud of it. And it wasn't so much the thing I was after, but it was the habit. So the habit was proof of discipline. It was proof that I can do something, proof I have the consistency muscle. And that made it so much easier to apply it to the next thing. So, I think about exercising, and you think if you really have no strength at all, like you might start with like a can of beans as your like weight, but then like that seems so ridiculous. But if you start using that and then you move up to a 1 pound weight or a 2 pound weight, like you do start to build up that muscle. So that's how you get to the bigger things. But right now I'm really content and proud of myself for building my consistency muscle. And I know that whatever I'm doing will turn into bigger things. But consistency is the only thing that matters right now. Another thing that helped is having a partner who's of the same mindset. So Soren has been trying to work on some of these things himself, not exactly in the same way, but he's been trying to get into an exercising habit as well, reading more books, things like that. So we've both been influencing each other in seeing the other person get up and work out or listen to their book and share what they learned or things like that. So I do feel like it's helpful to have a partner, accountability partner, or just a friend who's also striving to go in that same direction. He's really supportive by getting out workout clothes for me every night, which is really nice. Makes me playlists sometimes. So I think I would encourage you to have some kind of a partner or somebody that you can talk about, and surround yourself with people who are also trying to really become their best selves. Another thing that helped me, which I mentioned earlier, was just realizing how much I was living in an all or nothing world, and that mentality was really tripping me up. When you live in an all or nothing world, you typically get nothing because doesn't come around very often. It's really, really hard to do. So now I am all in on believing that the small things are going to add up to results. So as we end, I want to encourage you to think about the smallest thing you can do that fits with the person that you want to become. So take a habit that you wish you had, and then choose the smallest, tiniest little thing that seems like no big deal, so easy to do, it's almost not worth it, that you could do regularly to start making that happen. So if you want to read more books, commit to 1 page a day, maybe half a page. If you want to write a book, start journaling every day. Write down 3 things about your day and just get in the habit of writing something down every day. If you want to keep a cleaner house, commit to keeping one little area clean at all costs. And that's the area you protect and you work on keeping clean all the time. Soren's been working on trying to get his to-do list accomplished every day. And so we've been talking about that. And I said, I think you need to look at your to-do list the same way I'm looking at these really small things. Like you live and die by that list. And that's the most important thing, is you accomplish that list, because that's the muscle you're trying to build. For me, flossing my teeth and washing my face and getting dressed in workout clothes for a 7-minute workout is my live and die right now. Those things are just, I have to do them. I must do them. And that's how you get started. You really just have to look at it like, okay, I will be proud of myself for doing those things today. So I hope that helps and maybe can inspire you to get started or kick started on something that you want to turn into a habit. I think that's such an important way for us to grow, and also, having to make a choice so often to try to do the right thing or try to become the person you want to become, it just gets exhausting. It's so easy to talk yourself out of it. And so I think that's where these small things going on autopilot will really, really add up to a big difference and help us spend energy on other bigger important things. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you everyone who has left reviews, shared this podcast. It helps so much. Your reviews really boost the show ratings and help other people find the podcast. So if you enjoy this episode, please leave a review on iTunes and let us know what you learned or what you took away from today's episode. Thanks. We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening today to With Kilee Nickels. I hope that today you felt empowered to take one more step towards living the best version of you. Tune in next week for another episode, and in the meantime, you can find us elsewhere on the internet. You can find me on Instagram at Kilee Nickels and at Nickel and Suede. You can also find us at nickelandswade.com. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.